Kraftwerk in the studio. He asked me, would you like to join me? And I didn't know the band, and I didn't have anything better going on, so I said, okay, I'll join you. And when I jammed with Alf Fütter, it was so apparent that we both had the same idea for melody and harmony, which was definitely not American, not blues. It was a European music. There's a German expression called Stunde Null, hour zero, and that was more or less my situation. So I was really fortunate to meet those guys at that time.
Ruther and Kraftwerk drummer Klaus Dinger would leave Ralph and Florian to form their own project in 1971 called Neu.
Well, the basic idea of this fast-forward movement, that was already with us when we performed as Kraftwerk. But when Klaus and I started recording the first Neu album, we just had this basic vision. I always lived near water. I lived near water in Hamburg, where I was born, in Munich, right next to the river, Isar, in Winslow, on the Bollin, River Bollin, and in Pakistan at the seaside, and Düsseldorf at the Rhine. And I feel very comfortable in water, with water, and it has an effect. I can't really explain it. It's like time. It's something, it has to do with time, the passage of time. And in a way, it's also a picture like of music, moving along. Like the music, there's some parallels.
Boy, to put Neu into words, the drummer was playing in a way that when you listen to it, allowed your thoughts to flow, allowed emotions to come from within and occupy the active parts of your mind, I thought. It allowed beauty. To get there, the guy has somehow found a way to free himself from the tyranny of stupid blues, rock, of all conventions that I'd ever heard. Some sort of a pastoral psychedelicism.
I mean, at that time, it was still a period of leaving the German history behind. That was also part of the story. I mean, the conservative remains of post-war Germany, of Nazi times, was still to be found everywhere. I admired Willy Brandt, for instance. That was a figure I really looked up to. And Neu once played for Willy Brandt. He was for reconciliation of Germany with the Eastern countries, kneeling down in Warsaw, asking for forgiveness in the name of Germany. And that was something that really appealed to my thinking.
Despite combining a spirit of sonic adventure with a desire to transcend Germany's past, none of these bands could catch a cold in their homeland in the early 70s. Germans who liked progressive rock simply bought records by British and American bands. Since the mid-60s, German record companies had been searching for their own Beatles without success. But in 1969, Uwe Nettelbeck, a sort of Teutonic Tony Wilson, was tasked by Polydor to find the electronic Beatles. This is what he came up with. Faust formed in 1971. They came from Wümme, near Hamburg.
Yeah, so Uwe was interested in revolutionary ideas, and he took this opportunity and sold us maybe as the new Beatles, but that's where it ends. He was well aware, and everybody except Polydor was well aware that we were doing experimental stuff. And they gave us a studio which was great, with a day and night sound engineer at our disposition, which was great. We were very privileged. Because of the social situation in the 60s, 70s, there was lots of revolutionary thoughts in the air on all levels. So I guess artists usually are just a mirror of what's happening. And rock and roll was not enough to reflect all the facets of what was happening. So we are very influenced by whatever is around us. So anything that sounds good to us, that looks good, sounds good to us, we would use it. And so it's left to hazard, to chance. Cement mixer, I like it, so I will play it, and I try to go a bit deeper into that. You know, living is art, art is living, life is art. In the village, funny enough, after they had known us, they realized we were quite okay, and we had visit from the locals. I remember one, what do you call that? Somebody who is simple in the mind, you know, a village idiot. When we would play our music, it would soothe his mind.
While Faust's unusual sounds weren't quite what German Polydor had in mind, they and the other German bands were coming to the attention of foreign ears.
Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler, if you think we're on the run?
Britain in the 70s was still obsessed by the war. We won, they were still the enemy, and German jokes were part of our everyday culture. And the British music press were not immune. They grouped all the experimental German groups going under the label Krautrock.
It was good to be called Krautrock. We even made a song like this, you know, Krautrock.
I remember that from my father, that the crowds are coming, you know, that was the word they said because of sauerkraut.
Deutschland, Deutschland, jubel.
Krautrock, actually, I don't like it so much. It was it's a kind of insult.
Yeah, what? Who's this then? Strike you, but I'll do that for anymore.
Really, it makes me laugh because I don't feel like making krautrock, but of course you could also say it's a terrible name. It's like if the French would say Bosch rock or something like that.
I'm trying to cheer her up, you stupid kraut!
And furthermore, there was no real krautrock scene. The bands came from all over Germany and were not even aware of each other. Perhaps the only personal link between them was Conny Plank, a visionary producer who worked with Cluster, Can, Kraftwerk and Neu. It wasn't all bad though. The interest in Britain translated into foreign record sales. The early to mid-70s was the height of prog rock in the UK, and the krautrock bands fit in nicely. The UK's #1 prog label, Virgin, signed nearly all the krautrockers, and in one case, bit off more than they could chew.
Richard Branson was gambling. So he gambled, he said, let's go to Germany. Okay, I gamble on those. didn't work with Faust because we